Microtransactions. Just hearing the word alone is enough to send some gamers into a complete fit of rage, screaming and crying, running back to their mothers to get their diapers changed like the little babies that we can all be sometimes when it comes to these things. We have been dealing with these goddamn things for about 4 or 5 years now, since about 2013, 2014 is when microtransactions really started getting introduced in mainstream gaming, games that are coming out on consoles and PC, and they just spread like wildfire across titles. It's not even like they're within one particular genre anymore, they are in every single video game that is out right now. Literally, every single one. Where the fuck did these things come from? Well, the simple answer is desktop and free-to-play mobile games such as Farmville and Candy Crush. That's right, those annoying games that you got invited to play on Facebook by your aunt that you ignored all those times, those games were the start of microtransactions, at least in the mainstream, and now they have spread like the plague that they are all over the gaming industry. And if you're watching this video in this channel, you're probably a first-person shooter player, so of course, they're in your Call of Duties, your Battlefields, your Rainbow Sixes, your Overwatches, your Star Wars, but it doesn't stop there. They're in all your sports games, your football games, your basketball games, your baseball games, all of your fighting games, all of your racing games, all of your role-playing games. You get the point, right? They're everywhere. They're in every single game that is out right now. And most of the systems of these games have something in common with each other, but they all do it a little bit differently. But one thing most of them, probably about 90% of them, have in common is the one thing that I want to talk about today, and that would be RNG. Random number generation. I'm talking your loot boxes, your supply drops, your battle packs, your rec packs, your crates, your loot crates, whatever they're calling it in the particular game that you're playing. Randomly generated rewards through opening up boxes. These things are the absolute worst that it can get when it comes to microtransactions. They are the bottom of the totem pole, the absolute shittiest, scummiest, most slimy, unethical, immoral, just all-around terrible way of doing business and doing microtransactions in video games. They have caused their player bases so much unnecessary stress and frustration within video games that it makes the experience less fun, at least 99% of the time, because most of the things you get out of these things are obviously shit items. Shit items that were just put there to dilute the chances of getting the item that you actually want. And why do they do this? You got it, so you'll buy more of them. This is brilliant business, but is it ethical, moral, or right? I don't really think I need to answer that rhetorical question for you. The answer is no, it is not. It is not any of those things. It is scummy, slimy, and disgusting, and encourages gambling in young children who are playing video games, as well as manipulative and taking advantage of even people who are old enough to gamble, so that the big fat cat executives over at companies like EA and Activision can take home their $6 million bonuses and everybody can have fun on their yachts and live a happy life, except for us. So this has pretty much been the standard in video games for the last 4 or 5 years now, these randomized loot boxes that give you rewards. You don't know what's going to be in them, but you buy them anyway with real money and hope that you will get the reward that you want. The most disgusting example that I can think of the top of my head that I think you guys will be familiar with is, of course, Call of Duty Black Ops 3. In that game, the black market has literally dozens of ranged weapons that are stat changing and game changing, change the way you play, and the only way to get them is by buying supply drops. And as you know, those guns and those items are never guaranteed in any single supply drop. We've all just about had up to here with this bullshit. And I'm pleased to say that I think that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So there are 3 major events or phenomenons that are happening right now in video games, and I think that these are going to directly contribute to the way that microtransactions change in the future. Gonna talk about each of them right now and explain my rationale behind thinking this. The first one is run-ins with the law. Very notably in China, legislation was passed in which the government required game publishers to release all probabilities of all items to be acquired in video game loot boxes. Of course, publishers had to comply with this law if they wanted their game to still be available in China, and it came out that some of the items' probabilities were less than 0.1%. Not 1%, 0.1%. Obviously not a very good look if you're trying to build a relationship with your player base and keep your customers close to you, and also not think you're complete scumbags. Then in Australia, they took a little bit lighter, but still a firm approach to this, and they gave any game that has loot boxes an immediate R rating. And then in Belgium, they just made video games with loot boxes completely illegal altogether. And here in the good old United States, there's been several states, including Hawaii and Minnesota, that have looked into legislation regarding loot boxes in video games. Though no action has been taken yet, there are bills out there that are trying to be passed, and we will have to monitor that situation as it progresses. Point in case, loot boxes have generated a lot of attention from governments and regulatory authorities, and that is not something that publishers like EA and Activision want to deal with. Big phenomenon number 2 that will have an impact on the future of microtransactions and loot boxes: Fortnite. The Fortnite Battle Pass is a revolutionary new way of doing DLC and cosmetic items for video games. Whether you love Fortnite or you hate it or you just don't even care about it, it is going to affect the future of the video games that you play and how much money you will have to spend on said video games to get certain items that you want. The Battle Pass is a truly amazing and unique and new, fresh take on doing cosmetics in video games. It takes all the uncertainty away from the reward system, 100%. You know exactly which items you are going to get and when you are going to get them. And after players have been swimming in a sea of shit with loot boxes and RNG for the last few years, this is an extremely fresh and fair take on how to do this system the right way, the way that builds trust and rapport with your player base and makes your player base actually like and respect you, which is the exact opposite of EA and Activision. Which sounds better to you? Paying $10 for the Battle Pass and getting all the skins and all the rewards and gliders and all the other cosmetics that you get in Fortnite, or paying $10 in Call of Duty to buy a bunch of supply drops and get shitty emblems, calling cards, and pistol grips? Yeah, the choice is pretty obvious there. The Battle Pass model is extremely popular with players, and if you think for even a second that other game developers have not taken notice of that, you better think again. And finally, event number 3, the most recent one. This just happened in the last 24 hours and is the reason that I'm making this video, so you may have not even heard about this yet, but EA and DICE came out and announced that there will be absolutely no loot boxes at all in Battlefield 5. This is huge, man. This is so insanely huge. This is really, really big news. It's game-changing news, it's industry-changing news. This is the first example of a major publisher with a AAA developer working on a AAA title coming out and confirming that there will be no RNG rewards in their next title. And this event is a direct result of the first 2 events, so the legislation and controversy surrounding loot boxes in certain countries and parts of the world, along with the introduction of the Fortnite Battle Pass, which proved to be a very good model that players actually liked. You take these 2 events into consideration and the writing's on the wall. The choice is obvious what they have to do, and EA certainly made the right decision on this. Why risk having to design the game a certain way when that certain way may become outlawed in the near future, and then your developers will have to go back and change the game only in that country, while at the same time pissing off your player base yet again and making them resent you and hate you even more than they already did? No way, man. Just no way are they going to take that risk in 2018. Things are changing. Players' tastes have changed, the laws are changing, and these big companies, while some of them were at one point the leaders who decided what to do next, they have to adapt to companies that are doing things better than them, i.e. Epic Games. So you might respond to that by saying, hold on now, wait a second, if there's no loot boxes in Battlefield 5, then how are they going to make up for all that lost money? And the answer is simple, and they've already given it to us in the Battlefield reveal event. They're going to be selling cosmetic items outright, just like Fortnite does. People are happy about this, man. This is such a better system. This is the way that things need to go in order to have a mutually beneficial relationship between the players and the producers. It seems that RNG loot boxes have reached their peak. People have just had enough of it. It's leaving players dissatisfied, and as a result, companies are exploring other ways to monetize their games while being fair to their players, because most people are at the end of their ropes with this shit by now. This is just a better and more fair way to do things. Like I said before, I would rather pay $10 to get the skin that I know I'm going to get 100% than pay $10 for 3 separate chances to get the skin that I hope I'll get, when in reality that skin only has a 0.1% chance of being acquired. So, in conclusion, I can confidently say that the controversy surrounding loot boxes, coupled with the wild popularity of Fortnite and their new microtransaction system, is directly responsible and correlated with the absence of loot boxes in Battlefield 5. Of course, we've had no other big AAA announcements similar to this, but if history is any indicator, when one big company does something, then other big companies will have to follow in order to compete. So we're gonna see what kind of effect this has on Activision and Black Ops 4. Maybe we'll find out at E3 how the skin system and cosmetic systems are going to work for that game. If I were a betting man, I'd be willing to bet that it's going to be a lot more fair and a lot more consumer friendly than systems that we've seen in the past with Call of Duty. And if that comes true, which I think it will, then this is going to bleed over into other games too and improve the quality of life and gaming for everybody. But as always, fellas, as always, I want to know what you think about this down in the comments below, so please drop your thoughts and let's get a conversation going. Do you think this is the start of a new beginning for microtransactions and the end of loot boxes completely? Or do you just think EA is trying to do some damage control from all their controversy with Star Wars and taking a big risk, and it's going to end up coming back to bite them in the ass? Always interested to know your opinions, guys. Remember, if you liked the video, then please leave a thumbs up, as it'll really help the channel out, and a huge thank you to all my usual supporters here. You guys know who you are. You're the coolest dudes ever, and I would not be doing this without you, so thank you so much for all your support. If you're new to this channel, then please subscribe for more content like this, as well as bringing you Call of Duty content from all titles both current and past. And make sure you follow me on Twitter so you can know where we're going to be streaming. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.